Thank you, Staff, and very good afternoon to all of you. So I will begin with the visit that I did in the Middle East. It was a 5-day visit to Syria and Israel, and I met with UNDOF and UNSO peacekeepers and military observers. I met with the Syrian caretaker authorities, and I met with Israeli officials as well. Now, as you know, there has been, needless to say, significant changes in Syria, and including in the UNDOF area of operation. The fall of the Assad government and the entry, presence and activities of the Israel Defense Forces in what we call the area of separation, UNDOF area of separation, where, as per the 1974 disengagement agreement between Syria and Israel and resolutions of the Security Council, there can be only UNDOF military presence in that area of separation. So needless to say, this has made it particularly challenging for UNDOF and the observer group Golan, that is the UNSO military observers in the Golan, that has made it difficult and challenging for them to implement their mandated activities. So, as I said, I met with the peacekeepers in UNDOF, and I thank them for their commitment, their dedication, their courage. They have been steadfast in preserving the presence in all the positions in spite of different kind of challenges. And I reiterated our commitment to support our peacekeepers, and of course their safety, security and well-being is of high priority. That obviously a message that I shared with my interlocutors both in Syria and in Israel. I met with the caretaker authorities in Syria, the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and I noted with appreciation their recent public statements on their commitment to the 1974 agreement. During that meeting, we essentially, first of all, we explained what UNDOF and OGG are, what the mandate is, what we're doing, how we do it. So many, a lot of information about all this, and we emphasized the importance of regular interaction between UNDOF and the caretaker authorities, including the need to have stable channel of interaction with them. So, as I say, that is something that we need, and we indicated that would be very important for UNDOF in the months ahead. We had a positive response and reaction to that request from the caretaker authorities, and obviously we will follow up on that. I also met with the Israeli authorities in Jerusalem. We have regular interaction with them on a number of issues, of course, UNIFIL, Lebanon, and UNDOF and Golan Heights. I obviously reiterated our concern about the presence of the IDF in the area of separation. It's clearly a violation of the 1974 agreement between Israel and Syria. I also indicated that UNDOF had received a number of complaints from the local inhabitants of, particularly in the center of the area of operation, and we expressed the importance of addressing these concerns and making sure that the safety, security, properties, well-being of that population would have to be protected and preserved. UNDOF continues to perform its operational task. It plays a critical role, indispensable role in liaising with the parties so that tension can be de-escalated, misunderstanding can be avoided, that has been done for many decades. I think this is a role that is recognized by the parties. It's a role that is also recognized and supported by the Security Council. This is a mission that has been always strongly and unanimously supported by the Security Council. people. So basically, our message is that both parties to fully facilitate UNDOF's mandated activities, including inspections in the respective areas of limitation that are adjacent to the area of separation, ensure freedom of movement UN personnel, of course, end violation. The objective being that we can return to a situation where there are no violations and UNDOF can implement its mandate in full with a view to ensuring stability in that particular area of the Golan Heights. So that is what I wanted to tell you on the visit to UNDOF and the Middle East. Steph, shall I continue?
Yes, why don't you go ahead and say a bit about the Congo as well.
Right. So indeed, I mean, there was a lot of DRC-related activities while I was in Syria. So in Goma, currently the situation remains tense and volatile, with occasional shooting continuing within the city. But I would say that overall, I mean, its calm is gradually restored. Water and electricity have been restored in much of the city, but we continue to grapple with the challenge of unexploded ordnance. That is obviously an obstacle, a very serious obstacle to freedom of movement. A number of MONUSCO's positions were again resupplied, which is critically important because in those positions we not only have MONUSCO personnel, but we have also a significant number of people, basically, who have been seeking shelter in those bases. The airport runways is currently not operable. It's sustained significant damages in the recent fighting, and we cannot use it for now. Priority of the mission remains the protection of its personnel, assets, and of course, as I indicated, the many civilians sheltering within its premises, civilian and disarmed combatants, all being protected by MONUSCO in accordance with international humanitarian law. Those MONUSCO infrastructure are pretty much, stretched, if not overwhelmed, with all these presence, in the bases. And obviously they were not, they're under significant pressure in terms of how to sustain all these people with water, ration, sanitation, and all of this. The mission leadership is multiplying its engagement on the political front towards the cessation of hostility. The SRHD Bintou Keita has met with the Prime Minister, key minister, and the leadership of the Congolese army and police, and they have established a joint government MONUSCO working group to coordinate on various issues such as security issues, human rights, humanitarian communication, as well as the legal status of the territories that are under the control of the M23 and the RDF. Let me just, there has been, as you know, an efflorescence of diplomatic activities. We have 2 meetings of the Security Council, 1 statement by that council, ESC, Eastern African Community Summit. There is today, as we speak, I believe, a SADC summit. Talks about the mini AU summit in the margin of the upcoming African Union summit. The AU-PSC has been meeting just 2 days ago, I believe, and a number of pronouncements from the likes of the European Union, UK, the United States, and so on and so forth. I have to say that up to now, this has not resulted in cessation of hostilities. And as you have seen, I mean, the M23 and the RDF are currently progressing towards the south, towards Bukavu, and that is, of course, a matter of concern. Safety and security, I indicated, is obviously a priority in terms of protecting UN personnel, but also the civilians, including those who are, the population who is currently in our bases. I'm repeating this because it's important to emphasize that the UN premises must be respected. They are inviolable. We cannot stress this enough in the current circumstances where MONUSCO bases are under stress, but also in some cases they have been under threat. in terms of the presence of disarmed FRDC soldiers, and I want to really again call for the full respect of the inviolability of our UN premises. So, needless to say, again, diplomatic engagement and activities need to continue. The objective being cessation of hostilities, and the solving of this situation through political and diplomatic engagement. As I say, right now, what we're seeing is additional movement by M23 and RDF towards the south, the Bukavu, and we are concerned not only as far as the Eastern DRC is concerned, but this has, if you look at the past, this has the potential of triggering a wider regional conflict, and therefore it is of the utmost importance that all diplomatic efforts should be geared toward avoiding this and bringing about the cessation of hostilities. I think I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Edie, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lacroix, for doing this briefing on behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association. I have one question on Syria and one question on Congo. On Syria, you met with Israeli officials. What was their reaction to basically the illegality of Israeli forces remaining in the buffer zone? And did you get any indication at all of when those troops might be leaving? And on Congo, with the M23 moving toward Bukavu, do you have any update on how close they are to Bukavu? And when you talked about this could lead to potentially to a wider conflict, could you elaborate on that? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I obviously shared with the Israeli authorities, the Israeli official, that their presence of the IDF, which I saw, by the way, with when I was there, is a violation. That is quite clear. Well, what I can say is that the Israel has been indicating that this is a temporary presence, and obviously the sooner that presence, which is a violation, ends, and the better. Now, I think in terms of the reason why the Israelis have advanced to the buffer zone, I think it's better to ask the Israeli. I think it's safe to say that they're arguing that there is no structured military presence on the Syrian side, and uncertainty in terms of the evolution in Syria. But again, I'm not here to speak on behalf of the Israeli, and I the only thing that I can say is that this is a presence that is a violation, and in addition to that, it is also a presence that has an impact in terms of the freedom of movement of our mission. Now, obviously, the re-establishing stability in the sense of and of being able to operate as it was before, and being able to interact with both parties, liaising, deconflicting, and all this, and means not only that as I suggested, we share a stable communication with both parties, including the Syrian caretaker authorities. Obviously, we also look to the evolution whereby the the state presence in Syria would be strengthened, including a presence of Syrian armed forces east of the so-called Bravo line. That is the line that delineates the buffer zone to the east. There is a presence of Syrian police in the buffer zone. That is not a violation. It's completely consistent with the disengagement agreement and the resolution. We interacted with them. It's also important for UNDOF to have such contact, and with the view of making sure that we work together also for the protection of those civilian population that are in the buffer zone. Now, the question on DRC. The information I have is that M23 RDF are about 60 kilometers north of Bukavu, seem to be moving quite fast. There is an airport in the vicinity of where they are, I think a few kilometers south, which is Kavumu. Now, their taking over of that facility would be another, I believe, significant step. So we'll have to see. But again, there seems to be a constant progression of M23 RDF towards Bukavu. Now, in terms of the wider conflict, I mean, of course, this is something that certainly not a prediction, but it's a concern because, first of all, we've seen in the past that a regional confrontation was expanded beyond the DRC. I think you've noted some tough exchanges of words between Rwanda and South Africa. And then we've also seen a statement by Mr. Nanga, who's the head of the Alliance Fleuve Congo. So that's a sort of opposition outfit which is working with M23 and RDF, stating that they were ready to move towards Kinshasa. So all of this to say that it's of concern and that needs to be prevented because you can imagine that the impact, humanitarian losses of lives, destruction would be even more devastating than what we're currently seeing, which is already very, very significant.
Thank you. Amélie and Michelle.
Thanks, Amélie Bottelier from AFP News Agency. About DRC as well, MONUSCO is not in South Kivu anymore. Now that the M23 and the Rwandan forces are advancing quite quickly in this region, is there any talk with the Congolese Authority or the Security Council to redeploy or resend some MONUSCO troops in this region to at least help protect the civilian in this area?
Thank you. Well, events are moving very fast. We don't know what the next days will have in stock for us in terms of South Kivu, but you would remember that the withdrawal of MONUSCO South Kivu took place as a result of the disengagement agreement that was agreed between the authorities in the DRC and MONUSCO in November 2023. And in that disengagement agreement, the first phase, and the only one that was specifically sort of provided for in that agreement, was the disengagement from South Kivu. I mean, I don't want to speculate, but I can say two things. First of all, redeploying is, of course, let me just say one thing in addition. That disengagement agreement was endorsed by the Security Council, and then subsequently the withdrawal from South Kivu was equally endorsed and taken note of and endorsed by the Security Council. So I think that really the question is more how there can be sufficiently effective diplomatic effort to put an end to an evolution that is obviously that has a potential of further destabilizing not only Eastern DRC but potentially the region as a whole and beyond. I have to add, though, that the UN has personnel in Bukavu in South Kivu, and our colleagues are currently working to make sure that they will be safe against the backdrop of what is happening in South Kivu.
Michelle?
Thank you, Mr. Lacroix. Michelle Nichols from Reuters. Thanks for speaking to us at a particularly newsworthy time. Couple of quick questions. On Congo, has the UN or does the UN plan to, I guess, démarche Rwanda over the killing of UN peacekeepers? Have you spoken with them at all about that? On UNDOF, for our readers and viewers who aren't down in the weeds on UN resolutions, can you explain to us what UNDOF has done or can do to address the military incursions by Israel? And then...
Let's do two of them. Let's come back to you.
Thank you.
Let me start by UNDOF. So UNDOF is a sort of 1,000 strong, give or take, peacekeeping force. It doesn't have any it doesn't have any enforcement mandate. It's about observation and reporting. That is really what it has to do. And I have to say that over the past decades, I mean, this a mandate has been successfully implemented. There has been regular reports to Security Council, but most importantly, there has been a very useful role in terms of liaising between two parties that are not talking to one another, and a lot of activities, almost daily activities, in terms of deconflicting when any event is occurring that has the potential of triggering tension, misunderstanding. This is the mechanism is via UNDOF has been functioning really well. And the way UNDOF does this is a combination of military observers that are stationed in observer position and military units that are patrolling. And you have the combination of these two, which then provides for the implementation of the mandate. In terms of Rwanda, well, first of all, as you know, the Secretary General spoke to President Kagame. He also spoke to President Tshisekedi. I think one of the messages that was emphasized is the protection of civilians, also safety and security of UN personnel. I think, as I indicated earlier, the protection of respect to the safety and security of UN personnel is international obligations, an obligation for all member states, and that applies to Rwanda, that applies to certainly to all TCCs and PCCs. And of course, as we are now talking about a situation where the MONUSCO bases are under pressure because of the important number of individuals that sought shelter in those bases, I think it's important to emphasize that message that the UN premises are inviolable and that MONUSCO is basically acting according to international humanitarian law in terms of what our colleagues are currently doing to protect those individuals that are in those bases.
Thank you. Sorry, Michelle, you had one more.
Sorry, it was just one quick one on Lebanon, just to jump all over the world. What do you think UNIFIL's role will look like after the ceasefire ends in February? Do you think that ceasefire will get extended? Well,
that is hypothetical. I learned my lesson from Steph. But we definitely hope that this new deadline will be respected. UNIFIL has been very active in supporting the Lebanese armed forces as the Lebanese armed forces is gradually redeploying and occupying more positions. And we and UNIFIL has also increased its level of activities, patrols, and again supporting the LAF and those returning civilians in southern Lebanon. I believe that there's full commitment from our colleagues in UNIFIL to continue and even intensify this level of activities. We count on the authorities in Lebanon to provide not only full support to the LAF, but also full support to UNIFIL, full support to strengthen cooperation between UNIFIL and the Lebanese armed forces. Of course, we count on Israel to again abide by the 18th February deadline.
Bassam?
Thank you, Mr. Lacroix. Bassam Abouquaik with Al Jazeera Arabic. A few days ago, the Israeli defense minister said that they will be staying in the buffer zone with Syria indefinitely. Is this something that you brought up in your conversations with Israeli authorities in Israel? And is it just enough to raise concerns, especially in light of the new authorities in Syria? They're saying that they will abide by the 1974 agreement, and you just said that Israel is actually violating it. So what are the concrete steps to actually challenge them in light of all of this?
Right. Well, we saw a statement that I believe by the Israeli Minister of Defense. I mentioned in my discussion with the Israeli officials that we saw this statement. At the same time, there is also a statement to the effect that the presence is temporary, which is something that I heard again from my interlocutors in Jerusalem. So what do we make out of this? I mean, the only thing we can make out of this is that we continue to impress upon the Israeli authorities that their IDF's presence in the buffer zone is a violation, and of course that we look forward to them putting an end to this violation. Now, this is really what we can do. Of course, all efforts. Diplomatic efforts need to be continued to that effect, and yes, that is really what I can say about this.
Thank you. Tony, Sherwin, then Sylvia, and then Mercedes.
Thank you, Tony Nadaf, Al Hurra TV. With this late statement of yours goes also on Lebanon, because Israel also announced recently that they won't be withdrawing from south of Lebanon. I'm wondering, what's your general assessment of this whole ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, with amid a lot of violation recently, and the latest one happened just a few hours ago?
Right. I think we have similarities and differences between Golan Heights and southern Lebanon, in the sense that in the UNDOF area of operation, what we've seen is a presence of the IDF and the building of some positions. I mentioned the statement of the Israeli authorities regarding that presence. The situation in the buffer zone is volatile but calm. Now, I indicated that there has been cases of complaints by civilians living in the buffer zone. They came to us, they came to the Syrian police. We raised these complaints and with the Israeli officials, and we again impressed upon them that the security, the safety, the properties of the civilians living in the buffer zone needed to be respected, and if there are remedial measures that need to be taken, then they have to be taken. And I hope that the message was heard, and there will be a follow-up on that. As far as southern Lebanon is concerned, then you have a situation where there continues to be more tension. There continues to be, of course, presence of the IDF, I mean, under Resolution 1701 is a violation now. We have this context of the ceasefire understanding, the new timeline, and I think the priority really is to see that new timeline respected, and we're doing as UNIFIL everything we can to support that, including by working with the Lebanese armed forces. At the same time, of course, there continues to be concerns in terms of the tensions that are visible in southern Lebanon. I mean, we see this very tragic development whereby I believe 24 civilians were killed. And that is, of course, of great concern. That is, of course, unacceptable to see civilians killed in that context. And we can see other types of violation, including airstrikes and all this. Now, having said this, though, I mean, I think our objective continues to be doing everything we can, both in terms of our outreach to the Israeli authorities and to the Lebanese authorities, so that there can be, the most committed and dedicated efforts to fully implement the ceasefire understanding, leading to the disengagement of the IDF by 18 February, full redeployment of the Lebanese armed forces. I believe that there is, there are significant progress that have been already achieved in that regard, but concerns remain, and I think that needs to be really the objective. Really is to push towards those, as I said, a full implementation of the ceasefire understanding, and that no more violation of Resolution 1701. So that is really what we're working at the moment. And I have to commend both our UNDOF colleagues and our UNIFIL colleagues, because they're really doing a fantastic job, and the situation in both areas of operation remains difficult and challenging.
Thank you. Sherwin is online. Go ahead, Sherwin.
Right, please. I'm online. Sorry I couldn't be in the room with you. Thanks for doing this. Just some points of clarity. There's a dispute between the Rwandan government and the South African government about who killed South African troops, whether a part of SAMI DRC or whether a part of MONUSCO. Can you provide clarity? Was this a joint operation between MONUSCO and SAMI DRC, the FARDC, when our peacekeepers were killed? Who killed them? Do you have clarity on who's responsible for killing who in this conflict? Because I'll tell you, the fog of war is blurring our vision here, and I'm hoping you can provide some clarity.
Thank you very much. Well, frankly, it's hard to tell exactly who killed who in these in the recent events. South Africa paid a heavy price because of the South African soldiers killed both from MONUSCO and from SAMI DRC, and of course we condemned the killing of peacekeepers. I think we have reiterated on many occasions that crimes against peacekeepers are not only unacceptable, but they can constitute war crimes. As far as the how exactly things happen, I mean, it's you talk about the fog of war, and it's very difficult to exactly allocate responsibility. But I think most importantly is that the kind of tensions that we observe in the exchange of statement from South Africa and Rwanda. And again, this is not for us to sort of comment on either of these countries' position, but it is a matter of concern in the sense that what the objective need to be is full and united engagement by the member states, and particularly member states from Africa, the African Union, a convergence of diplomatic efforts from sub-regional organizations such as the EAC and SADC. I know that there had been talk about a joint EAC-SADC summit. Now, it is unclear whether this joint summit will be held or not, but clearly our message is that we encourage the greatest unity in terms of addressing what currently is a very worrying situation, not only in terms of what already happened, but in terms of the potential risk of broader confrontation.
But surely you can agree that establishing the facts here matter. Will there be an investigation to really understand who killed who? Because I think that this is important.
Well, certainly as far as the killing of peacekeepers, there will be investigation. Absolutely. Now, in terms of SAMI DRC, I believe that it is for the SAMI DRC leadership to, and frankly, I'm not very familiar with how they what their procedures are, how they intend to proceed. But I can tell you absolutely that in terms of the killing of peacekeepers, there's 2 peacekeepers from South Africa and 1 from Uruguay. Absolutely, there will be investigation. Hopefully, those perpetrators will be held accountable.
Just one quick fact to clarify. Was it a joint operation when the SAMI DRC and MONUSCO peacekeepers were killed, or were they killed in separate locations?
To the best of my knowledge, these were not joint operations.
Thank you. Sylviane, then Mercedes.
Thank you. This is Sylviane Zahir from L'Orient Le Jour. It's on Lebanon. Last week, the Lebanese army chief has leaked military secret to Hezbollah. And there were no reaction from UNIFIL. Do you still have any confidence with the Lebanese army?
Yes, I mean, I've seen this report, but frankly, these are allegations. We have absolutely no way to confirm the veracity of these allegations. What I can tell you is that we work very, very closely with the Lebanese armed forces. This is a cooperation that has been strengthened. One of the Secretary General's messages to the President of Lebanon, the government, and Speaker Berry was that we look forward to this cooperation being further strengthened because we believe that working together with the Lebanese armed forces, UNIFIL, and have the maximum level of cooperation would be beneficial to the objective of full implementation of ceasefire.
Thank you. Mercedes, then Maggie, then Ephraim.
I thank you very much. Regarding the buffering zone and Golan Heights, there are indications from the new U.S. government that they will support Israel permanently staying in that area. I wonder if you have been consulted by any of the P5 in what you're seeing there?
Well, again, I mean, that is really a bit of a hypothetical question. I have to confess I haven't seen a U.S. statement, but maybe I'm, in terms of specifically the issue of the Golan Heights and the IDF's presence on the Golan Heights. So, there's not much I can say other than, again, repeating that, we look that IDF's presence in buffer zone is a violation, and then B, that we call upon the Israeli authorities, the IDF, to put an end to these violations. And then again, I mentioned to you the interaction I had with the caretaker authorities and how we could establish a functional working relation with caretaker authorities so that we can also play our role, with the best possible space and leeway and fluidity in the interaction with both parties.
Have shown any concern to you, or any opinion standard?
Well, The only thing I can say in that regard is that I briefed the Security Council in consultation. So obviously it's consultation, so there's not much I can say about this. But the one thing I can say, though, is that yes, there were expressions of concern by a number of members of the Security Council regarding the IDF's presence in the buffer zone.
Thank you. Ephraim Abdelhamid, and then we'll release Mr. Lacroix back to freedom.
Thank you, Steph. Monsieur Lacroix, you were unequivocal by saying that Israel's presence in the buffer zone is a violation. But what is your reaction to the Israeli claim that it's there because out of concern for the safety of Israel's northern residents, also the fear that the area might fall into the hand of quote-unquote terrorists? Like, how did you respond to those justifications? And if I may, could you please elaborate on the complaints you heard from the residents? Could you tell us more what they're saying? Thank you.
Certainly. I mean, we have a very open relation with our Israeli counterpart, and they're sharing with us what the Israeli authorities have been saying publicly in terms of the justification for their presence. And this is not me. This is not for me. This is not for the UN to sort of judge or comment what the Israeli authorities are saying from that point of view. We take.
Is there any validity, legitimacy to their concerns, in your opinion?
We take note of that. I think that obviously the UN is committed to the security of Israel, as it is committed to the security of other member states. There's no question about that. On the other hand, we operate under a mandate, and the mandate is grounded on the 1974 agreement, and so we have to say that the IDF presence in the buffer zone is a violation, because it's a violation. Now. Hopefully that those violations will be terminated soon. Now, separate but related, we hope certainly that the stability of Syria will be gradually improving, and if that involves a Syrian state, including security and military force, presence, of course, consistent with the 1974 agreement and the resolution in the area of interest of us, in the area of operation, then all the better, certainly, because we believe that a strengthened presence of the state. Of the Syrian state in that area would be helpful from the point of view of restoring stability and also capacity for UNDOF to fully implement its mandate. We indicated that to the caretaker authorities. You've seen a statement by caretaker authorities following the meeting that I had with the Minister of Defense and Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now, we understand that there are a number of very significant challenges in Syria, and a lot that the new caretaker authorities have to do. But at the same time, these are the messages that we share with them. Now, in terms of complaints by the population in the area of separation, in the buffer zone, yes, the so-called area of separation, yes, we did receive complaints regarding properties, regarding destructions of some, infrastructures, and a number of other activities carried out by IDF elements. These are issues that, again, we share our concern with Israeli officials. I have to say that this was mostly concentrated on the central part of the area of separation, not everywhere. I believe that this was received with, I would say, interest by the Israeli interlocutors. We'll see what will happen, but we also indicated that any remedial measures, would be important in that regard, and that we all have a responsibility of making sure that the civilian in the buffer zone will be safe and protected.
Thank you, Abdelhamid, and that'll be the last question.
Thank you, Mr. Lacroix. Abdelhamid Sayam from the Arabic daily Al-Quds Al-Arabi. On the 60th day of the ceasefire, many villagers went back to their villages in the south. On that day, an Israeli air raid killed 15 civilians. Can you share with us more information, what happened, why they were killed? And the second, as you know, that Shab'a Farm and Al-Ghajar village are occupied territories, Lebanese territories. Do you believe that in implementation of 1701 must include Israeli withdrawal from Shab'a Farm and Al-Ghajar village? Thank you.
Thank you very much. On the latter point, I think that the ultimate objective is peace between Israel and Lebanon, and a solution to all pending issues. And you would remember that a number of efforts were made in terms of dealing with what I call the territorial issues, that is, the areas that are disputed along the blue line, and UNIFIL was very much involved in those discussions, and a number of points have been resolved. I believe that obviously, number one, nothing is solved until everything is solved in terms of these discussions. But then number two, of course, with the events that took place recently, that is a conversation that was interrupted. Actually, it was interrupted for a number of years. These discussions were taking place in the so-called tripartite mechanism. So all that I can say in that regard is that, of course, we look to the day where, beyond the implementation of the ceasefire understanding, there will be also significant progress in terms of addressing all the pending issues that are currently there between Israel and Lebanon. Now, in terms of the civilian fatalities, I mean, I don't really have the specifics. You mentioned airstrikes, and I referred to another tragic incident where those civilians were attempting to return to their home, and there was this tragic incidents with the killing of 24. So the only thing that I can say is that we don't want to see more civilian casualty. We want to see a genuine cessation of hostilities. We want to see again what I believe would be creating the best condition for no more civilian casualties, which is to say continuation of the withdrawal of the IDF and a parallel progress in the deployment of the Lebanese armed forces with full commitment and engagement from UNIFIL to support that, because that would also enable the genuine commencement of reconstruction efforts and the massive increase in humanitarian support. We are determined to help that to the extent possible with the help and cooperation of humanitarian partners. But this is really the objective. This is what we need to push for. Thank you.